Hey guys, so today is August 7th, and we're gonna read the daily devotion for August 7th right here. Here's the title, guys, of the book. Any prayer counts. I'm gonna say it again. Any prayer counts. Pray in the Spirit on all occasions with all kinds of prayers and requests. Ephesians 6:18. Often we are too analytical with our prayers. We think we ought to make them sound fancy or humble. We can treat prayer like money. We don't want to spend it on the wrong things. We might not be able to trust our intentions when we pray, but God sees our heart. The Lord wants you to talk with Him in all occasions and with all kinds of prayers. Sometimes our prayer is a quick cry for help, and sometimes it is an hour-long worship session. No matter what kind of prayer, Jesus will always be present to hear you. Jesus, this is the prayer, guys. I don't always know how to pray. How short or how informal I can be, or what things are acceptable to pray for. I thank you for reminding me that it doesn't actually matter. What matters is that I open my heart to you at all times and acknowledge that I need you in any and every area in my life. All right, guys. So I really like this today's reading because, for more than one reason. And I'm going to go over it. I'm going to read it one more time, but this time on the things that speak to me and get my attention and I can relate to, or just anything for any reasons. I'm going to explain a little bit about it. Okay? Any prayer counts. So for this, any prayer counts, it hits me because it's sometimes we wake up and we're worried that it's going to be a bad day, or we're worried that we're not going to pass that exam or that driving test, or we're going to miss our flight, or, just things like that. Or we're worried that we're not going to get through our day successfully getting all of our to-do things done on our list. And, taking a second out of your day just to think, God, guide me, whatever I can get done in this day, just let it be the right thing for me in that day, what I need. And whatever I can't get done that day, then it's fine, I can get it done another day, right? That's just an example. That, for me, means any prayer counts. Like that for me is already a prayer. And it goes a long way, right? It's worked for me in so many ways. And another thing that came to my mind while I was reading this is I remember when I was younger, because I'm still young, okay? Anyways. When I was younger, I remember thinking exactly what somewhere in here, we're going to read it eventually, says. How do I pray correctly? How do I know I'm praying right? I never wanted to pray for the wrong thing. I remember thinking a lot, I don't want to lie to God. I don't want to, make myself seem like a different persona when I'm praying to God, when I know that He's God Almighty. And with the years, even now as an adult, I'm still learning that, like it says here somewhere, right? We're going to read it. It doesn't matter how or what you say. It's just God knows your heart. There's no right or wrong thing you can say when you're praying to God in your intimate, personal spiritual moment with God in your mind, out loud, whatever, however you pray, you're doing your prayer. You can pray in so many different ways, not just one. You can pray in all of the ways. And God knows your heart, right? If it's one word, if it's a thought, if it's out loud, if it's through posting something, if it, and praying in a post, praying in a journaling, praying, any kind of praying is God knows your heart. There's no, you can say, I remember thinking, I would say, God, I promise I'm not going to do this if you help me with it. Just things like that. And I would be scared because now I would feel unworthy. And now I would feel bad. And now I would feel bad because I would be like, I did bad because I lied to God and I didn't keep my promise. And, like, it's just so many ways. I remember even thinking, like, when you do something bad, and I would think, I'm a bad person, and how am I going to tell God that I'm thinking these, for example, I'm thinking these evil and bad thoughts that I shouldn't be thinking, right? Because we all have negative, bad, and evil thoughts at one point to some degree. We all do. Like, no one is perfect, right? Whether it be for a second, a split second, or whether it be for like a whole day or just for like, we all have them. And it's like, and I remember thinking, I'm a bad person. Like, how is God going to hear me? How is he going to understand me? Like, I shouldn't even be praying. Like, I would feel like unworthy. And so yeah, it's just any prayer counts. Anyways, that's why I think this is amazing, because let's continue, okay? It says, pray. This right here that I'm about to read is specifically from the Bible, okay? Because let me let you guys know again, this book, it takes little scriptures, right? This top part in this light pink or dark or whatever purple color is the scripture from the Bible. Okay, right here in black letters, this little part right here in between my fingers is, the book's own explanation, right? Because you can interpret it however way you want, but that's the explanation that it gives us here. And then in the bottom, it's a little prayer that the author, like whoever made this book, the people who made this book, made for us so that we can like say the prayer in case we can't come up with our own prayer, like sometimes, we need a guide or stuff like that to help us pray when we just can't come up with one. So we're going to continue. It says, pray in the Spirit on all occasions with all kinds of prayers and requests. EPHESIANS 6:18. So right here, I take it as in spirit, in the Spirit. The way I look at it, the way I interpret it, the way it hits me right now is like, just pray. Just start a conversation, a communication, a connection with God in the moment, whether it be thinking about him, talking to him in your mind or out loud. Even this, what I'm doing right now, to me, is some meditation. It's a type of prayer because, believe it or not, this is like my time with God, because I'm reading about it. I'm like reflecting on it. And after this and this video and this reading, I'll talk about, I have prayers through my mind all the time and things like, oh God, please help me, with my thoughts, with my emotions, help me get through the day. I need it all the time, So, but to physically sit down and read like the Bible or scriptures or like, learn and educate myself a little bit more on God and the Word, who knows, this might be it for me for today. So this, this reading is for me is a type of prayer. For me, like I said, we all have different ways. Some people get on their knees and just pray, and some people light candles, and some people read their Bibles and journal. Some people just read the Bible. It's different. So for me, how it says pray in spirit, this is like I'm praying in spirit, because like I said, it could mean different things to so many different people, different interpretations. That's how I'm interpreting it for me, for me. And I'm sharing it with you guys, right? So it's like I'm reading this, but my spirit and my soul, and I'm connecting and I'm feeling it, and I'm recording myself, but this is like it's getting to me. Like, so the way I see it, I'm connecting spiritually. And because I'm connecting spiritually to the word, and it's, I'm praying in spirit, and it says on all occasions with all kinds of prayers and requests, all kinds of prayers. This is my kind of a prayer. I'm sitting here, I'm reading this. It's one of my kinds of prayers out of many, because I have a lot. And I'm reading, and I'm praying, and I'm requesting things in my mind as I'm talking to you guys, and requesting things out loud. Also, right? So, all kinds of prayers and requests, whatever, anything you're going through in your day, whether it's spiritually, or something physically, or let me get my camera a little better, something physically, anything, whether it's, anything, I need to wash clothes, I need to, just anything in general. Yeah, like request, just anything that pops to your mind, say it to God. You wake up and you're kind of like, oh, I'm a little lazy to go to work today. Just be like, oh God, I'm gonna go to work, but just any request, just talk to him like you're talking to yourself. For me, that's like like you're motivating yourself, like you're asking yourself for, like, I don't know, God is within you, like God is just, you just search for him. Anyways, now here we go. That was the prayer. Now we're moving on to the little explanation that they have right here in this area. Often we are too analytical with our prayers, right? I feel like with that is, often we think our prayers have to be a specific way, right? If not, then they're wrong. Like I was explaining to you guys earlier, that I used to think, oh, I don't know how to pray. I don't want to pray the wrong way. Like, I don't know if I'm doing it correctly. I think that's what it means. I think that's what it means to me, like analytical with our prayers. We think there's rules and guide, like there's specifics on how to pray. There, just pray. Just have that connection, that communication, and that conversation with God. Either ask him for something, thank him for something, mention your thoughts, your feelings to him. It's just your own personal therapist, your own personal teacher, your own personal helper, just everything. It says, we think we ought to make them sound fancy or humble. Yeah, like sometimes we think, they have to sound a certain way. They have to be, if not, then we're doing it wrong. I want to give like I said, there's so many different examples and interpretations, but like what comes to my mind is like, sometimes like fancy or humble, right? The way I see it is like when you criticize someone, or where you're like, oh man, no, like something negative in that kind of way, it's not really humble, right? But sometimes you could even pray like, oh my goodness, I can't stand this person. So God, like, help me, guide me through like understanding them, because I cannot, like, something about them like gets in my nerves, irritates me, or like I cannot stand their jokes. I don't like being around. Just that maybe doesn't sound so humble in my opinion, but it can still be a prayer, if other people think it's not, that's their opinion. But it's in my interpretation, the way I see it, absolutely, just because the way you're saying it, or just because it doesn't sound humble, does not mean anything. That's in that moment, because of all the circumstances and how you're feeling and everything. That's how you're praying in that moment, and we're not perfect. We're humans, and that's how it's coming out of you in that moment, right? Yeah. So we can treat prayer like money. We don't want to spend it on the wrong things. Yeah, sometimes we do that. Sometimes we feel like if we are not going to dedicate, like, because this is an example, right? This is an example. It comes from, my personal perspective, and my personal experiences, and etc. Like, for example, me, I would think, oh, I want to pray. And like, let's say I could go a whole day thinking, I need to sit down and pray, like, right? And like, I'll probably think, No, I need to sit down in a quiet, very quiet, calm place. And like, if my whole day is being hectic and I don't have the time to sit down, get on my knees and open my Bible and journal and pray and dedicate an hour of meditation and prayer and journaling and how do you call it? And um I can't find the word. The word is like on the tip of my tongue. Yeah, like the time to like, just pray and think about, feel that connection, then you're like, then it won't happen. So it's saying, like we can treat it like it's money, right? So it's like money, we don't want to spend money on the wrong thing, right? So we're like hesitant, like, oh, nah, I don't know if I should get this or not. I'll think about it. And if I still want to get it a week from now, I'll get it. Right? We treat prayer like it's money sometimes. And in my opinion, right, like from the reading that I get, it's like we shouldn't treat prayer like that, We should just treat prayer. We should treat prayer like just do it, just do it, don't think about it, just do it, just have a conversation, just start talking in your mind and let anything out, request, feelings, thoughts, emotions, wants, appreciation, everything and all, like, just, yeah, that's how I see it. Like, don't treat it like it's money and like hold on to it. No, just do it, just do it. So it says we might not be able to trust our intentions when we pray, right? It's true, we're human, we are human. Sometimes we can say a prayer like, oh, I don't want to see this person anymore, so like find a way for that person doesn't have to take this same route that I'm taking, have them take another route today, because whatever the issue is, like, yeah, like you never know what the intentions behind the prayer is, right? But God sees our hearts. So no matter what, just have faith in God, because we're all human. We all make mistakes. We're not perfect. And our intentions are not always the best intentions. We are not God, who is all love and happiness and generosity. We're not God. So, sometimes we feel negative towards others or towards something, or, if we're suffering or we're going through something. Let me give you guys an example. Like, there's people that have people like that somebody hurt them in some kind of way, right? And these people can forgive, but then there's also people that somebody hurt them real bad, and it can be from the minimum thing. It could be from like doing an ugly face to you, to breaking your heart, to committing murder, to hurting someone in your family, to sexually assaulting somebody, or you sexually assaulting you, or just things like that. And then sometimes, when you pray for certain things in regards to situations like this, you don't know what the intentions could be, right? But regardless, God sees our hearts. God sees our hearts, and we just got to have faith and just pray, and God will do the rest. So anyways, the Lord wants you to talk with him in all occasions and with all kinds of prayers. So go to God with everything and anything, whatever you have in mind, in heart, in soul, whatever your intentions are. Just go to God and start that conversation, start that connection, start that thought with him, and God will take it from there. I promise. I promise you that. Okay, right? Sometimes our prayer is a quick cry for help. Yeah, sometimes we're in need of help, sometimes like we could be, and like I said, I'm speaking from personal experiences and and stuff like that. Like if I when I fall into like I get depressed, I get stressed, which mentally things happen to me a lot, and any little thing stresses me out and depresses me, and like and things that might seem so simple and easy for other people to overcome, like mental wise, when it comes to depression, when it comes to, your mental health. For me, sometimes I get in a really dark spot in my mind and inside myself. And when it comes to those things, sometimes, when I come and I pray to God, it's a cry for help, because it's like without God, I can't do it alone as a human being, and I'm just like, God, please help me. Like, I'm in a deep hole and I don't know how to get out of this. And you're the only one that can help me. And I don't know what to do and I don't know how it's going to happen, but I just pray. So, it could be like that, you going to Him. And sometimes, and now it says, right? And sometimes it is an hour-long worship session. So, sometimes, you could worship God in so many ways. You could worship Him in just quiet, meditating prayer in your knees. You can worship Him playing songs of worship, So, like sometimes in my house, we'll play like, Christian music, Christian songs, and we're just happy singing, and singing along to the music, to the lyrics, and feeling the music in our hearts and in our souls and relating to it. And for me, like I said, personally, everybody interprets things and looks at things their own way. For me, that's a way of an hour or more worth of worship. You're worshiping the Lord, you're worshiping God, with feeling that music in your heart. And other times you could be in your knees for an hour or more, just praying, at church, just on your knees, praying, dedicating certain, just things to God, and worshiping Him. No matter what kind of prayer, Jesus will always be present to hear you. So no matter what it is that you're requesting, that you're giving thanks for, that you're opening up to Him about, that you're commenting to Him, that you're sharing with Him about your plans, about your goals, about your wants, your needs, your fears, what you're grateful for, just anything, He will always be there to listen. There's no ands, ifs, or buts, or whatever about it. He's just always present. He always wants to hear you. He always wants His children to come to Him with everything and anything, Like He knows every little piece of hair strand. I think that's what a strand that we have on, like, that's the God, He loves you. Like, if you ever worry about another human being maybe not wanting to be there for you or listen to you or, spend time with you or like, or get that call from you, with God, you don't have to worry because He always wants to hear from you. You just need to know it and you just need to accept it and you just need to open your heart to Him and embrace Him and embrace that. So now the prayer part, guys, the prayer down here, the pink in the bottom. Jesus, I don't always know how to pray. You see, I love how it starts because I think so many of us can relate to this. So many. I think the majority percent of people can relate to we don't know how to pray right. We don't know the correct. We just go for it and we just try. So I like how it starts. Jesus, I don't always know how to pray. How short or how informal I can be. Or what things are acceptable to pray for. I thank You for reminding me that it doesn't actually matter. What matters is that I open my heart to You at all times and acknowledge that I need You in any and every area of my life. So this is just beautiful because this prayer is basically saying, that he thanks, or he or she, just thanking God for reminding us that it doesn't matter how you pray or what you pray about or how you do it. Nothing like that matters. What matters is that you're just opening your heart and pouring your heart out to Him and trusting Him and sharing your soul and your heart with God, you know, that's the good and the bad, and just sharing it with Him and allowing Him to put His hand and touch your heart and your soul and to guide you and to guide your life miraculously, you know, because that's how He works. He works in miraculous ways. We don't know sometimes what we have inside, and you know, like our intentions are, but when we pour our hearts and we open it to God, He does miracles, and he knows our hearts, and He knows us, and he starts to make changes, and He starts to make things happen in your life, and then you start noticing. So just pray, guys. That's all